Hello everyone, my name is Gus.
Hi, I'm Woody.
Today we have a video that was suggested through our website, divetalk.com. By the way, go check it out. Make some, suggestions for videos for us to react to. Check out our bio. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And they suggested this video, which is about apparently divers who drown at Eagle's Nest. I don't know if you remember.
I'm pausing though on one comment you made. Your bio is really well done on the site. How long did that take you?
I mean, it took a couple days. Yeah, I worked hard.
Okay, I'm sorry. Back on.
I will say though that this video is kind of, I don't know if it's related, but it's connected to the video last week where we had those psychics trying to talk to dead people from Eagle's Nest. So this could be the people they try to contact.
Which I do think that was real.
That's okay.
So
let's
see.
Let's take a look.
Drowned deep inside a narrow underwater cave system within a sinkhole.
Okay, so
These
ChatGPT
three
is involved here.
dared to test their skills at one of the world's deadliest diving sites.
And that is
what
true.
What began as a thrilling underwater adventure ended up in absolute tragedy. However, only one made it back to their predetermined meeting spot, and not without severe consequences. On
Do you know who that
Saturday,
is?
October 15th, 2016, while diving in the Eagle's Nest sinkhole located at the Chazowitzka Wildlife Management Area in Hernando County, Florida, the two experienced cave divers, Chris Rittenmeyer and Patrick Peacock, along with their friend Justin Blakely, dove down to explore the underwater cavern deep beneath the surface.
I paused it because one thing I want to tell you, for those of you who've never heard of Eagle's Nest or been there, it looks like no big deal, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, when you're standing there,
right.
It's just a little pond with a bunch of stuff on the top,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is it?
Is this the
It's
Mount
so
Everest of cave diving?
Anticlimactic. You're like, this little pond is what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Trio descended to a depth of 50 feet or 15 meters to reach the entrance of the cave system. Inside, the network of tunnels stretches over a mile long or 1.6 kilometers, while reaching depths exceeding 300 feet or 91 meters below ground.
It's actually 320.
With
It's a
diverse
little bit
marine
deeper.
life. Due to safety
Almost 100
concerns,
meters.
locals have been trying to shut down the cave given its dangerous nature, prompting officials to cover the wooded path along the area to reach the site with warning signs.
Okay. The reason why the cave was supposed to be closed, or they've tried to close it, is not because it's dangerous so much, it's because people have died there. Because it's so easy, like you mentioned. It looks like a harmless pond. Oh, look, there's a hole in the ground. Let's go see what it is. And then people have gotten lost and drowned at Eagle's Nest. Because it's very attractive. You see this hole in the ground, you're like, oh, let's go. You're curious. And then you get lost and drowned. Because the ballroom at Eagle's Nest is no joke. It's this massive room. And you can get lost. Because I remember still when I went there the first time, where a dog told me, it's like, look at the hole in the ceiling. It looks like a
pin
tiny hole in the ceiling, right? And people can get lost. So that's why they try to close.
And interestingly enough, I've heard that it was just some fishermen that discovered when they cast their line, it went down that chute and like, what the heck? This thing's dropping down like hundreds of feet.
Yeah.
That's how they figured it out. That it was a
Interesting.
cave.
Despite disregarding the signs above water, they proceeded to ignore another one prominently displayed at the cave's underwater entrance.
That's in all
But they're
caves.
cave diver, though.
Right. That's in all caves. Just,
No, but that's what I'm saying. He's saying that, okay, there's all these warnings, and these 3 certified cave divers ignore the warnings. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what we do. That's part of being a cave diver. You go past the warning
right.
sign.
Fact number 3, without cave training and cave equipment, divers can dive there. So they have cave training and cave equipment. That is true. You need to have that or you probably will die.
Featuring the Grim Reaper. The experienced divers were well prepared and fully aware of the risks involved. However, despite their efforts, their thrilling underwater adventure would soon become a nightmare. The previous day, Rittenmeyer and Peacock visited the site to set up safety measures. They placed a series of backup diving cylinders, known as bailout bottles, along the tunnel walls of the cave.
Yeah, we should
These
talk
were
about that real
positioned at
fast.
depths of 20 feet, 70 feet, and 120 feet, but no deeper.
So look, you do have to. Sorry, I paused it.
Yeah.
You do need bailout bottles, and what that means is if you're on a rebreather, or even not on a rebreather, frankly, you need bottles, enough bottles to make sure you can get back to the surface, including your decompression time. This is so deep that you're good. I'm talking in layman's terms for those of you that aren't divers. It's so deep, you're going to accumulate a decompression obligation fast. That means nitrogen on the way up, a lot of it is going to come out of your blood and into your body quickly. A lot of it, because you were so deep. So they stage it at different depths because we can only breathe different mixes at different depth. And that final one at 20 feet is 100% oxygen, which, as you know, helps you off gas quicker, helps you satisfy that decompression obligation faster.
Right, because you're breathing out nitrogen bubbles, but you're not breathing in nitrogen bubbles.
So
So
100% because you
go fast.
metabolize that oxygen, right?
Now,
So,
I don't remember exactly, like when I went and dived there, what the ratio was, but I feel like I remember it was like 1-5. For every minute you spend at depth, 5 minutes of deco.
it's something like that.
And what that means is, let's just assume that's right. And I don't want people commenting below, it's actually 1-7, you
Right.
idiot. Okay. Let's just assume it's 1-5. What that means is you spend 10 minutes in the cave at that depth, you have to stop for 50. I mean, that's how big it is. And you're not going to go cave diving for 10 minutes, right? You're going to spend 20, 30 minutes down there. And by the time you're coming out, you have 2 hours of deco or something like that.
Yes, except for on the way up, on the way out, you're already off gassing. You're
trying.
already meeting that deco obligation. So it's not like you're going to typically get to the 20 feet and have to satisfy your entire deco obligation there. You're burning that off. That's what we call it on the way up because it's inclining. But your computer very well may tell you to stop at one of those depths, deeper depths, before you even get in the chimney that gets you back to the 20 feet.
Correct.
So that's how it goes. Something happened to the sound, by the way. I don't know if I did that by accident.
All right, here we go.
To which the mix has been adjusted. These mixes typically contain various concentrations of oxygen and nitrogen, and sometimes helium, depending on the depth. The tunnels inside Eagle's Nest are vast and intricate, making it easy to get lost or separated.
They're not
The
intricate.
cave consists of 3 distinct
that I know
tunnel
of.
systems combined together.
There it is. Look at the map. It
containing
looks
at
like
least
it's easy.
6
The-
dozen rooms.
It looks like the the map of MARTA here in Atlanta. You see all these subway
Right.
systems in New York and stuff. It's like going everywhere, and then you
They're
look
like
at the one in
three
Atlanta,
lines.
it's a crust.
First, the divers swim to the right, heading down the upstream tunnel.
Yeah.
Their first stop is the Crevice Cave. From there, they enter their first room, known as Randy's Room, where the walls are multicolored with layers of clay formed over thousands of years. Next, they reach the largest room in Eagle's Nest, aptly named the Super Room,
Your light.
which is said to be the size of an aircraft hangar.
And when you shine your light in that room,
Amazing.
you cannot see the walls. My
unbelievable.
light is just absorbed. I'm like shining my light. I'm like, I see nothing. Where's the wall?
Every time you go to Eagle's Nest, you realize like people have these misconception that every cave diving is just squeezing through like tight stuff or whatever. No, Eagle's Nest is the opposite. It's
Massive.
like, and I don't know if you think about this when you're diving there, but I always think like, how long did it take water to make these holes? They're so
Amazing.
big, you know.
Amazing.
However, Peacock and Rittenmeyer sought a greater challenge and started venturing towards the downstream tunnel, which was in the opposite direction. With Blakely being the most inexperienced diver and aware of Eagle's Nest's dangerous reputation, he was to remain closer to the surface. During their planning, they had agreed on a
How?
meeting point near the surface to regroup if things went south. Additionally, they had agreed to meet there at 3 p.m. once they concluded their dive. Nevertheless, their vast experience was about to be put to the ultimate test. The divers were well equipped with underwater scooters, a backup scooter, and
looks
closed-circuit rebreathers, CCR.
They were
for
very
short.
experienced.
Unlike open-circuit systems that release exhaled gas into the water,
This is well done.
CCRs recycle exhaled gas by filtering out carbon dioxide and calibrating the gas mixture automatically to maintain a safe, partial
Electronic
pressure of
rebreathers.
oxygen, allowing for extended dive times and less sediment disturbance, leading to better visibility underwater.
Bubbles, I guess.
As they were going
Yeah.
through the downstream tunnel, they checked their diving computer for
that
the
depth.
current depth and time. It is now 2 p.m., and the pair has an hour before they're supposed to return to the meeting point and regroup with Blakely. With only an hour to spare, they plan to traverse John's pocket, followed by Jim's room, the Half Moon room, and, at the very end of the tunnel, the Room of Dreams.
How many
However,
feet back? Do you
before
know? I don't.
continuing, they must
not that
first
far.
squeeze their way through one of the narrowest and deepest parts of the entire cave system.
But it's deep.
A passageway reaching a depth of 310 feet, or 94 meters, called the Pit. It is one of the deepest sections of any underwater cave in the United States. Its low visibility and many pathways adds to its complexity. Rittenmeyer and Peacock arrive at the narrow passage 43 minutes after first entering the water. While starting to squeeze their way through the passage, they are now at a depth of about 260 feet, or 79 meters. However, 3 minutes later, after being unable to proceed through, they turn around and come back out.
How tight is that
Rittenmeyer and
restriction, I wonder?
Peacock spend 6 minutes
I don't know.
floating
never
outside
been
the
there.
entrance, seemingly planning their
haven't
next move.
No.
Then, they re-enter the passage for a second time. This time, one of them successfully makes it through. The other, either Rittenmeyer or Peacock, fails again. But whoever made it through the passage now turns around and heads back into it from the other direction to look for the other diver.
Or to get out.
Something goes wrong. Peacock quickly starts removing his diving equipment,
Oh,
while
wow.
Rittenmeyer loses his headlight. Now plunged into darkness, Rittenmeyer fails to deploy any backup lights. Peacock ends up with almost no gear, wearing only his mask, suit, and fins.
What?
Then, at 61 minutes into their dive, one of the divers abandons his functional rebreather and a full personal bailout bottle. Despite having remaining oxygen in his rebreather, this
Why?
diver's onboard diluent bottle was empty, which is a cylinder that contains a gas mixture used to dilute the oxygen in the rebreather's breathing.
Which makes sense because they're so deep that you're not adding oxygen. So your oxygen is probably off, if not completely off, is close to off. You're not hitting oxygen at 300 feet.
So he bailed out, sucked down the diluent
Yeah.
gas, and that was it. He had no other gas. At
And I
that
guess
point.
he
so
got-
why didn't he go up to, like I'd be coming up to you going,
your body,
I'm
yeah.
out of air, Gus.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Give me your deep gas.
Yeah.
Not the one with the high
bailout
oxygen
gas, yeah.
content.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
It's easy.
Panic,
you know
though.
what? It is easy for us to do this, isn't it? Sure.
Right.
We can say all this calmly right here in this
I can
chair.
just go and do this.
Yeah, Gus. Oh, look what I would have done. You know what?
Oops.
I've been reading like the human factor stuff. You may not. You may do exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Really imagine, you're at 300 feet.
Yeah.
Really imagine that you are completely out of gas.
Dude.
You're going to, and you probably are a little narked. I mean, yeah, you had helium. So I get it when you all beat us up on some of these. Oh, you guys think you're so great. You could sit there in your office and say that. You know what?
Yeah.
That's a valid point when our subscribers tell us that. I don't know how that would go. That's the real truth.
Now, the diver resorts to using his inflation bottle for emergency air. However, this bottle is intended for buoyancy control and is not suitable for breathing at that depth. With their rendezvous window now closing in, Blakely started heading towards the meeting point. It is now 3 p.m., and after waiting several minutes, Peacock and Rittenmeyer still haven't returned. Blakely swims up to the surface, and a few minutes later, he swims back down to check again. But there is still no sign of them. Blakely repeats this process over and over again for several hours. By 6 p.m., 3 hours after they were supposed to meet, he dials 911. The Hernando County Sheriff's Office receives a call from a distressed diver who's lost contact with his two diving partners. Rescuers are shocked to learn where the call is coming from. Since 1981, Eagle's Nest has claimed the lives of at least 10 divers. Authorities travel across miles of dirt roads through the Chesahowitzka Wildlife Management Area,
That's what
which
it's
is
like.
only traversable via the use of four-wheel drive vehicles.
It
miles,
may have been then, by the way. So let's
Yeah.
not beat them up on that. I do know they improved those roads a lot. I did hear early on it may have only been traversable for like special four-wheel drive
Now,
vehicles.
wait,
could
before you
drive a
hit
car.
that, I do have a question. So people watching this probably heard that the guy waited 3 hours to call 911. And you may be like, why would you wait 3 hours to call 911? If you remember, the divers that were in were on rebreathers. And one of the advantage of diving rebreathers, which we've talked about many times, is how long you have on a rebreather, right? Now, every manufacturer of rebreathers will rate their units conservatively, typically. So they will say something like, okay, this rebreather is good for 4.5 hours, let's just say, or 5 hours, or 6 hours. When they do that, they are being very conservative. And I know for sure that people go way past the recommendation from the manufacturer.
We
and
know
the
some that
rebreather-
have tested it to double it, right?
Absolutely.
But they tested it. They
Yeah.
don't dive that way.
So that means that I know, for example, in the Sidewinder, which is where we would dive if we were at Eagle's Nest, I know that there's people that have done 11-hour dives in a Sidewinder.
And not had a CO2 hit. Or
Not have a problem.
just started to.
Right. So if we go to Eagle's Nest and we say, hey, we're going to do a 2-hour dive, and, we tell somebody we're going to meet, like if you went with Doug and you said, we're going to do a 2-hour dive, and you don't come back in 2 hours, I'm not going to immediately call 911.
When would you? What do you think?
That's the question, is if we agree to have a rendezvous at 3 p.m., how long do I wait until I go and figure it out?
And
now,
in
this case,
and would you go back in?
that's what I'm saying. In this case, the diver that was at the top, Blakely, I think his last name is, he wasn't experienced. So he would just go down maybe to the ballroom. I don't see them. Go up. Maybe they came out. I don't know. But, if you're an experienced diver, I would go and, assuming I have the right gear and the right gas and I'm ready, I can do the dive. It's safe for me to do it.
Before calling them,
Yeah.
you would go in.
I would go in and try to find you guys and see if I need to help. Because if you're caught up, in a restriction or whatever, something is going on, I can probably help, maneuver and help you guys out. At least it's a clear head that hasn't been panicking for, whatever, an hour that you've been stuck in there. So
But do
the
you think-
perspective would help.
But do you think, after watching this,
Yeah.
for ourselves, for you and I,
Yeah.
that we should have a more precise plan on what we would do? Like, hey, Gus, if literally I'm 30 minutes late, or you're 30 minutes late.
is not enough.
Okay, I'm making a number up.
Yeah.
X
What is the
amount
plan?
of time late.
Yeah. It's a good question.
You call or I call. This is on the plan, because that's kind of the stuff that Gareth Locke has been talking about. Like,
Yeah.
did you think about that? Or are you just going to be like, I don't feel like
I don't
it's
know.
quite
And
right when to call.
I wanna
Should
know-
we have a plan is all I'm saying.
Those of
to
you
specify this.
Those of you who are rebreather cave divers that watch the channel, not a lot of people. They,
Which is
we don't-
nobody.
There's not a whole lot of fans in that community. But anyway, if you happen to be a rebreather cave diver, how long do you think you would wait before you actually call 911 and engage first responders? Because most likely, depending on where you are, the first responders will not be as experienced as the divers that were diving at Eagle's Nest. Typically. I mean, it would be amazing if you call Hernando County 911
And Ed shows
and
up.
Ed shows up. Yeah, that would be awesome. But the chances are, if we're there, like if we're in two pairs, you and Doug and me and Mike or something, and we go to one tunnel and you guys go to the other one, and then Mike and I come out and, oh, where are these guys? An hour goes by. I'm pretty sure we are 911 at that point.
There's no way I can go more than an hour. I don't know if it's shorter, but
yeah.
I think I'm like a 30-minute guy. I'm going to get beat up for this, okay? I know. They're going to be
I
like,
don't know, man.
you should call in 5 minutes. Some of you are going to say you should call if they're not there.
Yeah.
Exactly what your plan said. And I
Because
I've
I
never-
don't. Were we together? Were we together in Mexico? And I know a lot of people already clicked out. They're not watching this because we're just talking. But
or we're getting annihilated already.
were you in Mexico when we went in for a dive and it took way longer, or was it me and Mike Age? I'm trying to remember.
No,
I
you
know,
and Mike.
or
I remember
Randall or
you
somebody
told me
else.
about that story.
Yeah,
Like,
we came out and everyone was so upset because we went over by like 40 minutes, I think it was. And Mike was like, I was about to go get you guys. And I'm like, where's everybody
Yeah,
else?
he was
and they were all
mad.
mad. I mean, they were eating tacos in my defense. So they were
oh, they already went to
they
that
weren't
taco
suffering.
stand?
It's not like they were crying. But but they were mad. And I'm like, dude, I just came out. You're already mad? Like, but anyway,
I get it though. You know,
They were pretty
timeliness is
upset.
important because one time I was exploring with Mike, and I should rephrase that. I was with Mike, who let me think I'm gonna hear. You can.
No, you
explore.
were exploring with
You
Mike.
can
I get it.
explore, little Woody.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Good
Yeah.
job. Right. I was with Mike, and he was like, "We gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta go." Because I told them when we're
Oh,
gonna be
man,
back,
I
and I'm like,
remember.
Mike,
You were laying line in it.
please.
Ah.
I know I'm looking, I can visualize it to this moment. And I know you went back there to the left
Yeah.
of where I'm looking. It's wide
Cave.
open.
Yeah.
He's like,
we are
we're out. I'm like,
yeah.
this is my final little tie off.
Yeah.
So it's really hard sometimes to stop at the plan time.
Yeah, and I don't know if
It
this
is.
is something that the planning should go beyond that, meaning, hey, we'll be back by 3, but a stretch, like if we find the cave keeps going or whatever, like 3:30. If it's
I don't think
and
we
then
can
if
do
it's
that.
4 p.m.
You can't.
No?
It's wrong to do that.
Oh,
You
man.
can really kill yourself by doing that. Did you have the gas for that stretch?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much additional deco time it's going to take? And is that a bad example of practices? Because now what's that thing called where, it all went fine? What's that called again?
Yeah, like surviving bias or
No,
whatever?
the thing that Gareth writes about. It's like,
Oh.
it all went fine. So you get you see, 30 minutes extra doesn't kill
I
you.
just came out.
It was fine.
Eat your taco. Take
But
it easy.
Then maybe it will go bad.
I don't
so
know. We should let's start with a
how about we
rule.
follow the plan?
Yeah, but let's start with a
Without-
rule. Is it 30 minutes or an hour? And that
Not
by
an
the way,
hour. Not an hour.
by the way, I think is an hour. By the way,
Can you please not wait an hour for me to die?
by the way, this would never happen in open circuit. Like if you're late by like 20 minutes in open circuit, I'm calling the FBI. Like
That depth
it's
on
over.
open circuit, you would
It's
suck
over.
that gas down.
It's over. So that whole thing of, I was just 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late, an hour late on a rebreather, you could have that conversation, open circuit, you done. All right, let's finish this video.
With the daylight fading quickly, they find Justin Blakely at the surface, alone with his diving gear. John Burnot and his friend Charlie Roberson, a Navy veteran and
cool.
world record-holding diver, are the first to enter the water at 11 p.m. They begin their search in the upstream tunnel,
They're
only
solid.
finding the untouched, staged bailout bottles. At 3:30 a.m., Burnot and Robertson resurface. They've searched the upstream tunnel and the Lockwood Tunnel, which runs perpendicular to the
Wow.
downstream tunnel, with no luck. At
they were there for
3:45
like
a.m.,
4 hours.
a second search team enters the water.
Wow, you
This
went there?
team consists
Look
of
at
an
you.
Olympic
not
gold
me.
medalist diver named Ted McCoy and a
Wait, Olympic gold medalist
Look at
diver?
that.
Is it like the platform diving thing? Because scuba diving is not in the Olympics.
It could be a new maybe it was for
Or
one
like
year.
this
We
guy
missed
just
it.
this guy just has like a gold medal from like skiing, and he's just calling it Olympic gold
You know
medalist.
how they like
diver.
bite their medal there.
Yeah.
Maybe McCoy.
All right.
firefighter/paramedic named AJ Gonzalez. The
Okay.
pair head into a part of Eagle's Nest that the previous team hadn't managed to explore, the downstream tunnel.
Yeah.
Almost immediately, they find what they're looking for.
Damn.
Patrick Peacock and Chris Rittenmeyer's bodies are found floating near each other on the exit side of the pit, confirming they are deceased to the rescue divers.
That's really
According to
horrible.
Florida law, they must treat their discovery as a crime scene. McCoy and Gonzalez spend the next 45 minutes analyzing the scene and recording data
taking
before returning
pictures.
to the surface. As dawn breaks, news crews have surrounded Eagle's Nest, and rescue workers now face the daunting task of recovering the 2 bodies while fending off reporters who are all trying to figure out what happened. Authorities don't yet have an answer. By recovering the bodies and examining the evidence, they hope to unravel the mystery. But what they uncover will ultimately raise more questions. The recovery operation is dangerous and time-consuming. Eventually, both Rittenmeyer and Peacock are extracted from the sinkhole. Pronounced dead on the scene, their bodies are transported to the Hernando County Coroner's Office. As medical examiners work to determine the cause of death, rescue divers revisit the sinkhole to gather evidence. Their primary focus is on locating the missing gear, which could provide crucial insights into what went wrong.
Absolutely.
With
Were they
each
really out of
descent
air?
into the
Were they
pit,
not?
rescue divers face the same peril that claimed Patrick Peacock and Chris Rittenmeyer.
For sure.
However, despite the risks, they managed to retrieve all the equipment discarded by the 2 divers, with most of it scattered across the pit floor. Experts such as John Burnett and Ted McCoy
Sidewinder.
eagerly inspect the gear.
Wait, that's my
ready to
Sidewinder.
identify any potential issues. Yet, after
No way.
meticulous
I
examination,
swear, that is my Sidewinder on Brian's
That's
Brian's table
crazy.
in Abaco.
experts such as
That's me. Look, it's my orange cover.
Wait, how did your Sidewinder get in this video?
Well-
explain this.
So I assume that
That's
this guy,
unbelievable.
right? This guy was just looking for videos, and
Okay.
he went and took our video from one, this video from one of our
That's
videos.
wild.
Wow, I'm like,
So were
whoa.
they on Sidewinders, or is that just a picture
no,
of a
I don't-
rebreather?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
All right.
This is just content
Okay.
filler. Yeah.
John Burnett and Ted McCoy.
Yeah, it says dive talk in the bottom. Look, you see it?
Unbelievable.
So
I see your computer. That's
Yeah.
that's that orange you have around it.
Yeah.
That's
They
crazy.
eagerly inspect the gear,
All right.
ready to identify any potential issues. Yet, after meticulous examination, not a single piece of faulty equipment is found. Everything was in proper working order at the time of Peacock and Rittenmeyer's death. Remarkably, the expert consensus even suggests that the pair had been exceptionally well prepared for Eagle's Nest. The National Speleological Society's report states they did everything right. Looking for answers, they reach out to scuba instructor Ken Sallet, who has been analyzing the data from the dive computer. He provides a detailed account of Peacock and Rittenmeyer's movements inside the cave. Yet, even this comprehensive overview fails to yield any substantial explanation.
Weird.
Similarly, the Hernando County Coroner's Office hasn't been able to discover much. Both Rittenmeyer and Peacock are determined to have drowned. Yet medical examinations fail to uncover any clues regarding the how or why of their deaths. The story garners considerable attention in the local press and sparks widespread discussion on diving forums. Enthusiasts from around the globe share their theories on how the 2 highly experienced divers, equipped with fully functional gear and taking all necessary precautions, could still have ended up dead at the bottom of Eagle's Nest. The debate may persist for years.
Wow.
In their 2016 accident records, the National Speleological Society officially lists the cause as unknown.
Wow.
Chairman
never know.
Joe Satelli concludes the report with the statement, "Sometimes bad things happen to good people for no apparent reason."
That's weird. I don't know. There's no way we can speculate. It's not right to do that.
No.
Right?
And-
You could be like were narked or they panicked or come on. They don't know.
yeah.
Any one little thing happens though, at that depth, I believe you could panic that easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could explain one of them by just natural causes, like somebody had a heart attack or something, like stuff like that happens, or a seizure or whatever. Medical, it was going to happen. But then what about the other guy? You know, did both of them have a heart attack? You know what I'm saying? Like
Really
it's really, really hard to understand that. And I think the hardest part is also to settle, to understand, like, we'll never know. Let's move on. Because I think if it was me who perished diving at Eagle's Nest or any cave, I would want whatever happened to me to serve to protect others.
It would be hard though. It's once again, easy to say. I think it would be really, really hard for one of us to to deal with it.
No, I know, but I'm just saying for them, for the divers, I have to assume because a lot of cave divers, we have a lot of things in common. I would want for them.
I know.
I would think that they would want that for their deaths to teach us something. Like,
Of
hopefully
course.
you learn something so this doesn't happen.
But in this case, they didn't.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And the reason why Eagle's Nest has been kind of in the target of a lot of people trying to shut it down is because it's so easy to get to. It's in a park. There's no scuba police there checking credentials or anything like that. And last week we mentioned kind of the minimum credentials to dive at Eagle's Nest. And there's been deaths there from people who went in diving. Like there's a parent and a son, father and son, that went in to test some new gear they got in Christmas and they died at Eagle's Nest. Brand new BCD. I just got it. Let's just go next day, and died. And then there are some divers that have gone in there just to, it's like, oh, what's the big deal with Eagle's Nest? Let's just go check it out. And they barely made it out alive. We actually feature some of those divers. I'm going to leave the video here, but super sad story, man. It's like they died. We don't know why. They did everything right. Super trained about it. They were trained. They had the right equipment. What happened?
And this one really made us think, right? It really makes you think about that plan, that whole plan, and what you'd really do. So, yeah, tough one. But
We'll see you on the next one.
bye, everybody.